Hello Protube, my name is Cubits and this is the YouTube. This is the Protube. So this is the most classic Gunstock, I guess. It's like the benchmark Gunstock for VR. Mine is red and black and carbon. And yeah, I've had it for a while. I just wanted to play with all the other ones before we crack this bad boy out because we want to give all the newcomers a head start effectively. They've got a great reputation. They've been around for years, and they're built pretty well. It's very engineered. There's a lot to one of these. For instance, each of these joints in here actually has 2 rubber washers on each side. So when you pinch it, there's still like a bit of flex allowed. It's not a rigid joint, so it won't destroy the plastic, and you can actually pose them a little bit to get the feel right without it being too loose. And then if you want it really rigid, you can crank it down a little bit more and crush those washers a little bit more. Also, instead of being fully 3D printed, it has a bunch of cast parts. So these are actually a much harder plastic than you can get from a 3D printer, which means that the little teeth in the joints are much more durable to repeated movement and stress. They don't shear off like they do very quickly with ABS plastic, for instance. But yeah, it's the heaviest stock that I have actually, despite the fact that it has the carbon tubes. It is about 520 grams as you see it, without the controllers, but with the cups, which places it about 200 grams heavier than the aluminium Modus V2, which I'd say is its closest competitor. You do get an extra articulation joint in this guy, but it's kind of unnecessary when you look at how I've got a bend in here just to bring the front hand up a little bit higher, but because the cheek weld height isn't independently adjustable with a slider, like it is on the Modus or the Boke Signature or even the Glisco, it means that you have to use this back joint to get the cheek rest high enough. So I've got mine at quite an angle here, and this big angle actually places more stress. So if I'm pulling into my shoulder, this joint is taking a lot more torque than it would if I had it down here somewhere and was pulling into it like that. And because again, we've got like the high cups, like with the Glisco, the cups actually sit above the magnet, which then sits above the joint. So you have all this extra height. So when you're pulling on this, you're pulling back. If you're disconnecting the magnets, you're actually placing quite a bit of stress on this tube here. So you've just got a pinch bolt onto a tube. So it is easy enough to accidentally adjust it on the tube. So rotate the controller cup on the tube by accident instead of disconnecting the magnet. You do learn to take the magnet off sort of against the cup here. So if you push it towards the post, and then when you're putting it back on, you come back in. But you always come off across your body like that. So yeah, instead of trying to pull away, if you try and pull the cup away, you're much more likely to start rotating that on the tube. So that's bad. So yeah, just push across your body, across the stock, and it comes off a lot easier. But the reconnect is quite a positive engage, and because the cups are quite deep on here as well, you can actually pull against them quite hard before they start to rotate like that. So pulling back, if you've got your hand up here, it's easier because of that extra torque. And as you can see here, we've got a smooth joint in the front to allow more fine rotation. And what's happened here is I've been pulling back on that front hand. I've actually moved that front joint. So I'm going to try and bend it forwards again and try and lock it down a little bit harder so it isn't going to move. But anyway, let's jump into Onward and have a bit of a play around, shall we? All right. Sand Knight. I'm going to go and jump into this with, we'll turn it down to Rookie and just put it to 16 again. And we'll launch using the silenced M16, which is my rifle of choice. I like it for the single fire aspect. All right, grab my gun up. There we go. As you can see, it comes up to scope nicely, and it's all quite well lined up. And if I let go with the front hand, there seems to be a little bit of twist on these controllers, like they're not quite lined up for Onward in terms of twist. Nothing I can do will make it point quite the right direction. So if I let go with that front hand, it does divert a little bit. And I've tried like rotating the front control to compensate, but that just makes it move like further, or makes this like the angle off skew. So yeah. But apart from that, the butt does line up in game with my actual arm here. So sort of where you see the butt of the gun terminate is where the that stock comes into effect. So there's a nice physicality there. It's not quite as nicely physical as the Cobra stock is. That actually lines up really well with some guns. All right, we're just gonna wander through. And we're going to run around the back here. So this is the new version of Sand. We should be safe running through here for a bit. Drop a mag, pop a new mag in. Just going to back into this corner here. And we're just going to kite them again. And pop out here. Yeah, I do like the night version of Sand is nice. The new layout is cool. It's been added to the day version as well. Gonna check what we got left. 7 left. Oh, I thought I had more of them already. They should be piled up though. Looks pretty good though, doesn't it? I do like the new layout as well. Yeah, you missed me. There we go. So yeah, it's pretty good. It works pretty good. It lines up pretty well, and the magnets. Once you learn the trick to pushing against, like across the controller, it gets a lot better. We might actually back out and jump into one more other map and have a play with a sniper rifle. Alright, grab Marksman, my trusty old SV98, 16 enemies, and we'll just do a quick run at Downfall using the bolt action rifle. Alright, now because the stock has got like a kind of tall like cheek rest on it. It's kind of like bulky. It's like because it has to be taller to compensate for those high cups. It is a little bit trickier to line up my my red dot. There we go. If I get a bit closer, see it sort of interferes with my face a little bit. Maybe if I get really close, that's not too bad actually, and that kind of works like a cheek rest, a cheek well. So I can hit that position fairly well if I slide the headset over the front of the controller. Wow, I've been seen already. Headshot. Yep. How am I missing that? That was terrible. It is a solid stock. It is pretty good for sniping. I actually had a problem with the PC version when the anti-cheat kicked in. It did not run on my system. It just died. I'm trying to see where they are. They've got great vision, these guys. I got him. Ooh, rookies. I cannot see where that's coming from. Oh, there it is, down at the fence. Yeah, getting all hidden up with those trees. How'd that miss him? Alright, come here, you. No problemo. Just Fit up a new cartridge. Where are we going? Two guys way out there. Oh, of course that was 10 shots. Oh, it's two behind those rocks. Two down there. Where? There he is. All right. Oof. Way to go. There he goes. There we go. And last one. Not last one? Oh, there's one left. Well, let's go find him. Might switch up to the pistol. Again, like with most stocks, you can disconnect the front hand and just use the rear hand like this, and then you can brace on it and hold the stock at the same time, and that gives you like a bit more guidance in where you're aiming. But you do have to watch that buttstock against the against your face. That'll do. All right. So that's a bit of a play with the Protube. I don't mind the Protube. It's very well built. I'd say, if anything, it's over-engineered. Like, I don't need these joints to last 10 years. I'm not going to be adjusting them all the time. So on things like the Modus, I pretty much, once I set it, I forget it, and it works for all guns. But because this doesn't have an adjustable heel on a slider, you are going to be using these joints more often if you use the Protube. And because it has those taller cups and taller mounts, you're going to have to be bringing this up a lot higher from your tube, which again is going to place more torque on these joints. You can see how springy that this is. This is a cast plastic joint on a fairly one of the most expensive stocks you can get. And it's flexier than the one on the Modus because it has to compensate for a larger torque moment. Frankly, I'd be going with the Modus. I wouldn't say this is built any worse in particular. You can get the same angles with one beam, with one joint instead of two. It has that adjustable stock heel, so that goes up and down. And look at the height difference of this thing. If you compare the height of where the controller sits to the height of the buttstock here, it is exactly the same. So that delta is different. But then look at the gap down here where the poles go down, and then look at that angle. Look at that. The comparison of this angle here is way different. So you get a much stiffer stock with only one joint because it's got that adjustable heel on it. Versus this, which is, it's gonna have to compensate for a lot more force by being built a lot heavier, which is why this is 320 grams with an extra front magnet on it, and this is 520 grams with carbon fiber tubes. I would like to try the force tube module. That is very cool and does interest me. As a guy who grew up playing at arcades with light guns with that recoil pack in them, I would be very interested in getting my hands on the force tube thing. Ducka, 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 ducka. That would be a lot of fun. But as far as money saving goes, this is 80 bucks. This is 150 or something like that. I can't remember. It cost me a lot of Australian dollary dues compared to this guy. And frankly, I'd be reaching for this one most of the time. So yeah, there you go. Bit of a quick look. See you in the next one.